Hello, hello. I am Sinner, and today I'm back with another video. I'm going to be talking about not. I'm going to be talking about Venezuela and Maduro and that whole shenanigan which is going on. But I'm not going to be talking about the geopolitics or anything like that because I don't know. I'm not a guy who's really up to date on any of that. Um, but what I do want to talk about is how people are reacting to it and how people are talking about it. And it reminded me a lot of Hobbes because one of the things that Hobbes says, and he talks about it with private counsel, as a king, if you're getting counsel from someone, versus, uh, or he talks about it with sovereign assemblies. One of the problems is people are naturally self-interested and people are passionate and not corruptible, but kind of foolish. And this causes problems. And one of the things is that out of envy or interest or competition, people will disagree with each other. And that is different from the public interest. That is different from principle or reason. And the reason that is relevant today is because of how, like, the MAGA chuds and the liberal people, the progressives, have been talking about Maduro and the whole occupation, him being captured, Venezuela. The thing is that, like, we saw at the start of the Trump's second term, that he was a never war guy, an anti-intervention, an isolationist. And now, after about a year, it seems he's successfully pivoted away from that and is now pro-intervention. It's not like a Woodrow Wilson. He's now all of a sudden pro-intervention, pro-foreign engagement, all this sort of stuff. And MAGA, as far as I've seen, and the normie right, have just completely flipped. So this is an example of factionalism. They've not flipped out of, like, a moral principle or something. It's just they just like Trump. They like what Trump says and does. If he changes his mind, they change his mind. And likewise with with the left, with liberals, they were all no kings. They were all anti-dictatorship. Um, like a few months ago, and now all of a sudden they're pro dictator, and I've seen, like, people being like, free Maduro, free Maduro. You know. Now, whether or not that's I'm not convinced that any of this is actually principled. None of this is principled. Well, I actually like the communist dictator who ran over people with cars because Trump doesn't like him now. That's how it looks like to me. And ask yourself the question: if Kamala Harris was currently the president of the United States, I guarantee you every MAGA chud would be, like, freaking out right now, and every shitlib would be like, "Oh my God, look at how happy the Venezuelans are. We're bringing back democracy." It's it's really a clown show how quickly uh, people flip. You know, it's very sad, and I think that's all I really have to say. So I'm going to leave you with two quotes. I was trying to look for ages for this one quote, but I couldn't find it. but I'll leave you with two quotes from Hobbes. The first one is, "And how able soever be the counsellors in any affair, the benefit of their counsel is greater when they give every one his advice, and the reasons of it apart, than when they do it in an assembly by way of orations, and when they have premeditated, than when they speak on the sudden, both because they have more time to survey the consequences of action, and are less subject to be carried away to contradiction through envy, emulation, or other passions arising from the difference of opinion." And that one, I think, sums up the best how how we can, like, he's saying it's obviously bad, like the whole democracy stuff. He's not a monarchist. He's a monarchist. He's not pro-democracy, but I think that sums up the whole how partisans act. Generally speaking, they act in envy and emulation, and not in actual principle or reason. And then the final quote, and this is just against democracy, but I thought it would be worth chucking in here. First, that whosoever beareth the person of the people, or is one of that assembly that bears it, beareth also his own natural person. And though he be careful in his politic person to procure the common interest, yet he is more or no less careful to procure the private good of himself, his family, kindred, and friends. And, for the most part, if the public interest chance to cross the private, he prefers the private, for the passions of men are commonly more potent than their reason. And that's it. That's all I really have to say. Partisans are stupid, and they can't think for themselves, and they just disagree with whoever the le bad is, and they just agree with whoever le good is. It's team politics. It's stupid. And they flip-flopped, and they have flip-flopped. That's all. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. And it's not thinking. Okay. See you.